So hi guys, today I'm going to talk about the chapter 7 entitled IP addressing. I'm going to tackle the chapter 7 summary. IP addressing. Addressing it is a critical function of network layer protocols. Addressing enables data communication between hosts, regardless of whether the hosts are on the same network or on different networks. So, both Internet Protocol version 4 and Internet Protocol version 6. It both provide hierarchical addressing for packets that carry data. So, the decimal positional notation. So we have radix, position in number, calculate, and positional value. The radix, it is the first row ideas. First row identifies the number base or radix. So the decimal notation system is based on 10. Therefore, the radix is 10. So for the positional number, positional position in number. So you can see in this. So position in number. So the second row consider the position of the decimal number. So numbers starting with from right to left. So first position and one second position and two for the third position and four for the fourth position. So this number also represent the exponential value that will be used to calculate the positional value, which is the fourth row. For the calculate, the third row calculates the positional value by taking the radix and raising it by the exponential value of its position. N- s- for the positional value, the first value identifies the number based on radix. So therefore, the value listed from left to right represent units of thousand, hundreds, tens, and ones. So this is the picture of the radix positional number. Calculate positional value. So three-dotted decimal IPv4 addresses must be configured when assigning an IPv4 configuration to host. So this tree is the the IPv4 address, subnet mask, and default gateway. So the IP address, unique I, so the IPv4 address, unique IPv4 address of the host. So it is a unique IPv4 address of the host, and the subnet mask. So it is to identify the network or host portion of the IPv4 address. For the default gateway, it is identified. It identifies the local gateway to reach remote networks. So logical end. Logical end. A logical end is one of the three basic binary operations used in digital logic. So the other two are the or and not. So while all three are used in data networks, so only end is used in determining the network address. So therefore our discussion here will be therefore the discussion here will be only limited in logical and operations because the or and not because because only and is used so determining the network address. So there are types of addresses in a network, which is the network address, first host address, last host address, and broadcast address. So the network address, it is address and subnet mask refer to a network. So all hosts within a network share the same network address. So the host portion is all zeros. And for the um, first host address, so first available host IP address in that network. So the first portion always has all zeros and end um, with a 1. The last host address, so the last available host IP address in that network. So the host portion always has all ones and end with a zeros. So for the broadcast address, so a special address, it is a special address that communicates with all hosts in a network. So for instance, when a host sends a packet to the network broadcast IPv4 address, all other hosts in the network receive the packet. So the broadcast address use the highest access in the network range. The host portion is all ones. So, a host successfully connected to a network can communicate with other devices in one of three ways. Has the unicast, broadcast, and multicast. So, a unicast, for a unicast, it is the process of sending a packet from one host to an individual host. So, for the broadcast, it is a process of sending a packet from one host to all hosts in the network. And for the multicast, it is the process of sending a packet from one host to a selected group of hosts and possibly in different networks. So, unicast transmission. So, Unicast transmission. So it is used for normal host-to-host communication in both client and server and peer-to-peer network. So unicast network use the address of destination device as the destination address and can be routed through an internetwork. So the broadcast transmission. So broadcast traffic is used to send packets to all hosts in the network. So using the broadcast address for the network. So with a broadcast, the packet contains a destination IPv4 address. So with all ones in the host portion, this means that all hosts on the local network, so the broadcast domain will receive the look at the packet. So many network protocols such as DHCP, such as DHCP uses broadcast. Then is next is the multicast transmission. So the multicast transmission, so it reduces the traffic by allowing a host to send a single packet to a selected set of hosts that subscribe to a multicast group. So the migration techniques can be divided into three categories, which is the dual stack, tunneling, and translation. So for the dual stack, a dual stack allows IPv4 and IPv6 to coexist on the same network segment. So dual stack device on both IPv4 and IPv6 protocol stack simultaneously. So for the tunneling is a method of transporting an IPv6 packet over an IPv4 network. So the IPv6 packet is encapsulated inside an IPv4 packet, similar to other types of data. So translation. So network address translation. Um, it allows an IPv6 It allows IPv6 enabled device to communicate with IPv4 enabled device. So using a translation technique similar to NAT or for IPv4, an IPv6 packet is translated to an IPv4 packet and vice versa. So there are three types of IP IPv6 address, which is the unicast, multicast, and anycast. So for the unicast, so an IPv6 unicast address is uniquely identifies and interfaced on a IPv6 enabled device. So a source IPv6 address must be a unicast address. So multicast, IPv6 multicast address, it is used to send a single IPv6 packet to a multiple destination. For the Anycast, an IPv6 Anycast address is any IPv6 unicast address that can be assigned to multiple devices. So, a packet sent to an Anycast address is routed to the nearest device having the address. So, Anycast address were beyond the scope of this course. So, yeah. So unlike IPv4 and IPv6, IPv6 does not have a broadcast address. That's why it has unicast, multicast, and anycast. So the most common type of IPv6 unicast addresses are the global unicast addresses or the GUA and the link local unicast addresses. So it has the global unicast, link local and unique local. So a global unicast address it is similar to public IPv4 address. So these are globally unique internet routable address. So global unicast address can be configured strategically or assigned dynamically. So for the link local addresses are used to communicate with other devices on the same local link. So with IPv6, the term link refers to a subnet. So with IPv6, so link local addresses are confined to a single link. So their uniqueness must only be confirmed on the link because they are not routable beyond the link. So in other words, router will not forward packets with the link source or destination address. So for the um, unique local, another type of unicast address is the unique local or the unicast address. So IPv6 unique local address have some similarity to RF6 1981 private address for IPv4, but there are significant difference. So unique local address are used for local addressing within a site or between a limited number of sites. So this address should not be routable in global IPv6 address. So for so a global unicast address has three part. So it is the global so a global unicast address has three parts. So it is the global routing prefix, subnet ID, and interface ID. And so the ICMPv6 RA message includes network prefix and prefix length, default gateway address, and DNS addresses and domain name. So Ethernet MAC addresses are usually represented in hexadecimal and are made up to two parts. So which is the organizational unique identifier or the OUI and the device identifier. So the assigned multicast and the solicited node multicast. So these are two types of IPv6 multicast addresses. Let's go back here, but I already mentioned the device identifier. So back here, so assigned multicast, it is a assigned multicast addresses are reserved multicast address for predefined groups of device. So an assigned multicast address is a single address to reach a group of device running a common protocol or service. So ICMP messages common both ICMP v4 and ICMP v6 include host destination, or server unreachable, so time exceeded, and route redirection. So, messaging between an IPv6 router and an IPv6 device. So, it has router solicitation or RS message and router advertisement or RA message. So, message between IPv6 devices, it has neighbor solicitation or the NS message and neighbor advertisement or the NA message. So, yeah, the trace route. So, it is a utility that generates a list of hops that were successfully reached along the path. So, um, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you learn again on this chapter. And thank you guys again for watching.